Alright guys, I'm going to get started very soon. I've just shared this video around in a few different places. And then I'm going to get talking about my experiences with all those companies I've listed. Every company that I've worked for, recruited for, or had some experience with. And yeah, I just want to put out my honest opinion about all these different companies. Just give me a couple seconds. Feel free to comment any questions you may have while you're watching this video, anything regarding online teaching. I'm not sure how I can view comments. This is the first time I've done this for a while. We've changed it up a little bit. Any questions you may have while you're watching this video. Apologies, echo there, it's turned off. Alright guys, so Fraser Hatyai here from Online Teachers Club, and today I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys about my experience with all these different online companies and my kind of story of how I started teaching online and which companies I had good experiences with and which companies I had kind of not so good experiences with. Okay, so I wrote the list here. Let me bring it up. So let me tell you a little bit about myself first. I live here in the deep south of Thailand in a city called Hatyai. Hatyai is the third or the fourth or the fifth, disputable, biggest city in Thailand. And I've lived here for about 8 years. Before I taught online, I taught in schools in Vietnam and in Thailand too. So I'm going to talk about all the different companies that I've worked at since I started teaching online around 4.5 years ago now. So the first company I started teaching online for was called TOPICA Native. Now TOPICA Native was a company out of Vietnam. It was kind of the early days of online teaching then. There were not as many of these huge big online Chinese companies. Alright, I've got no idea what that random noise was. Anyway, so back then there weren't all these big online Chinese companies, and I started working for a school called TOPICA Native, teaching adults, mainly business English and conversational English online. Because it was adults, it meant that there was hours available all through the day. Vietnam and Thailand has pretty much the same time zone, so it worked out really great for me. And at first the booking rate was really good. Although the pay was low, it was $10 to $12 an hour. And getting paid was a bit of a hassle. They were often paying late, and so on and so forth. But overall, it was a pretty good company to work for. Later towards the end, as it started to get bigger, things started to be more kind of robotic and computerized, and everything was done more systematically. So it became like you lost the human element later on. I did, and like I lost contact with a lot of the admin I was speaking to, and I was just getting automated email responses and things like that. This happens with a lot of the companies when they get big. They kind of feel like you're not dealing with an actual human, you're just a number, a statistic, and you'll be hired or fired or given a pay rise or your money demoted purely based on stats and no like kind of human element involved. Which what happened towards the end. In the end they fired me because I kept pestering them and asking for a rise, and yeah, they didn't. They eventually got annoyed with me and decided not to renew my contract. At that point, I just started working for another company, which was paying almost double, so it didn't matter. Anyway, overview, TOPICA Native. When I worked there, it was a pretty good company to work for. The pay was okay. It was low, but but it was really easy teaching. It was 45-minute classes with adults, and a lot of that time was you having the students role play and speak with each other and practice dialogue with each other, so you weren't kind of constantly speaking and jumping around. And as like if you teach kids online, you've got to be much more active than when you're teaching adults. PowerPoint slides, lots of conversation practice is much easier. Feel free to post any questions you may have or experiences you've personally had with these companies. We got 22 people watching now as we go through, so feel free to comment any comments or questions. So their system was pretty good. They used an open source software called Big Blue Button. Big Blue Button is still open source. It's still free. You can download Big Blue Button and use it on your own website if you want to. It's open source and it's free. If you do want to use it on a larger scale, you're going to have to pay for servers and such. But to use it on a small scale, you can use it pretty much for free. Plug it into your website. It was a great system. Later on, they moved on to Adobe, which I didn't think was kind of worth the extra cost. It's a lot more expensive to use Adobe, but they decided to use it. That was towards the end while I was leaving. Anyway, so that's TOPICA Native. Towards the end of working for them, I started working for another company called DADA. Now, I've been with DADA, or DADA ABC, a company based out of China, for the longest period of time that I've been teaching online. I've been teaching online for almost 4 or 4.5 years now. I started with TOPICA Native quite early. And I've been with DADA about 3.5 years. I'm still with them now. And, you know, there's been lots of, like, if you speak to people about this company, there's lots of good stories, there's lots of bad stories as well, and the admin team and the people in charge is getting changed up all the time, so it's not the same now as it was before, and it's gone through periods of being really bad, being okay, like trying to work things out and trying to grow too fast and all sorts of things. But anyway, I started working for them, and they paid pretty fairly. They was paying me almost double of what I was earning on TOPICA Native, double and more. So I wasn't so bothered when TOPICA Native didn't want to renew my contract. So DADA is a online school where you teach mainly kids and teens, sometimes very, very young kids in China, online of course. China is only 1 hour difference from where I live in Thailand, so the time zone to teach in China and live where it's cheap and the weather's good and the people are friendly in Thailand, it's kind of a perfect situation, really. So I worked for DADA for quite a while. Would I recommend it? Yes, but I would advise you to stay out of politics. Keep your head down. Just do the job that you're paid to do. Don't get involved too much on the social media sites, because people have lost their jobs because of arguments on those sites, and people in higher positions, they have, like, at one point they had mentors and other things, were kind of a lot of people biting people in the backside and stabbing people in the back, and lots of dodgy stuff was going on in the early days. And still now, the social media side of it is pretty crazy. The groups and stuff, they're becoming very, very kind of, the groups are super liberal now. If you post a joke that's like slightly not politically correct, you can get in a lot of trouble in those groups. Mostly controlled by these American teachers who are very sensitive. Anyway, DADA overall, if you work for them, you get overall, it's been the most consistent kind of online company to work for. So this is the second school I worked for, and like generally they have high booking rates. they pay on time most of the time. Sometimes it may be a few days late, but generally they pay on time almost consistently for the 3.5, almost 4 years I've been working for them. So I would recommend them. There'll be links possibly in this group or on my website, onlineteachersclub.com, and more information about them there if you're interested. Overall, it's not a terrible company. Online teaching and these big companies, it's kind of the Wild West out there, because there's no kind of laws about. It's a grey area of what they can legally do, what they can't do. The contracts, do they really mean anything? Like, I do know people who have been wronged by some of the big companies and have managed to sue and win, but it's cost them a hell of a lot of money to do that. And yeah, it's a Wild West. What I always advise new teachers coming to work online is work for at least 2 different companies, 3 if possible, and keep quiet to the other companies about you working for other companies, because they can be quite sensitive about that. Yeah, so that's DADA. After DADA, I was recommended an app for my phone called NICETALK, where you could, this is before PALFISH, an app where you could, in your free time, set yourself available and random Chinese people will call you. And you'd be paid by the minute. When the app first launched and I first joined onto it, it was awesome, because I could turn it on like almost all the time, and I'd have these people call me, and we talk about like random stuff. There's one guy who loved talking to me about Bitcoin. I'm interested in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, so it was just like having chit chat, conversation, and kind of you're getting paid for it. So NICETALK was kind of one of the first apps to do that, and it worked for them for quite a while. Now later on, as happens with a lot of companies, they start really good and then they expand too fast, or they recruit too many teachers, and then the whole thing becomes saturated. There's not enough hours, and basically for me it fell through and I stopped using it. After NICETALK, I started working for a company called 51Talk. 51Talk is again a Chinese company, but most of their teachers are Filipinos and based in the Philippines. Most of them, some of them in Thailand or elsewhere, but most of them are Filipino teachers. But I started just as they started to hire native English speakers as well. When I first started with them, same story again. It started really good. At that point, I was kind of a bit of a workaholic, in a workaholic mode, and I was working crazy hours. And I'd open slots for 10 hours of teaching in a day, like not expecting them to all be booked. And they all got booked consistently. So I think one of my best months at 51Talk, I think I earned, I'll have to say in baht, 130,000 baht, which is like maybe $4,500 in a month, which is pretty good for a teacher. But I was working insane unhealthy hours, which is something you can end up doing if you're teaching online. 51Talk didn't last very long. I only worked for them for about 6 months. Eventually, 51Talk is a huge company. It's on the New York Stock Exchange. It's absolutely massive. And again, there's no human element to it. So at one point I'd applied for classes and I'd forgotten about them. And then they were booked. I didn't expect them to be booked. And it was my fault. I missed classes. And then that goes on your record. And then eventually they fired me with no chance to appeal. Because I missed too many classes accidentally. At that point, I was kind of taking on too much work, and I was working for too many companies at the same time. But recently, actually, they asked me back. They've asked me back a couple times, actually, with a rise. Which I've declined because the system there it's too big. You get forgotten about, and you just become a cog in the machine. So after 51Talk, I discovered another online school called Cambly. I started working for them kind of just an hour or two a week. I didn't do many hours, but I did enjoy it. The great thing about Cambly is there's no minimum requirements. The students are not only Chinese, they're all around the world, which means 24/7 you can teach. If you can't sleep at 4 a.m. in the morning and you want to make some money, log on to your put a shirt on, put some shorts on. Teachers will know that, teaching in a shirt and shorts, flip-flops, and put yourself as available. And back then I was getting calls all the time, so I could teach. And it was similar to the phone apps where you pay per the minute and it's basic conversation. Again, the pay's low. It was about $10 to $12 an hour. But that was the next company I worked for. Cambly, I still recommend Cambly as a supplement to other online schools for when you've got some extra hours and you want to open some more slots and teach some more hours. Let's take a look at the comments here. All right, Chris, thanks for that. Yeah, hopefully I'm giving useful information. Kun Fan, nice to see you too. Grant, thanks. I hope this information helps. And no worries. Happy to put out some content. Again, I do recruit for some of these companies, and I do get commissions if you get a position there. But I do try my best to be completely honest about my experiences. For example, DADA, I recruit for them, and I will get a commission if you do get a position there. But I've told you about the good and the bad side. It's not one of the best companies out there, but in my opinion, it's one of the most stable. And Cambly, like I said, good for it's really good for a supplement to another online school. So if you want to have a look and learn more about these companies, do check out my website, onlineteachers.club or onlineteachersclub.com. We got both of those URLs now because Facebook recently blocked my website for some reason. Still trying to get that situation fixed. Once you go to the website, click jobs or apply at the top, and that'll take you to all the free job information stuff. So after SAYABC, I started doing online classes for an actual in-house language school in Vietnam called American Academy. It was in Buôn Ma Thuột, which is in about an hour to, no, sorry, it's about 5 hours from Ho Chi Minh. Anyway, it was just, I traveled there at one point to teach in a school. I made some contacts there. They wanted teachers. We couldn't find teachers to go out to that remote location, so we decided to do online teaching. I recruited my own teachers for them, and we started doing online classes together. Anna, I'll get back to your question in a minute. So in that situation, we were having students were kind of learning with Vietnamese teachers on a topic, and then we'd know what topic they were learning about, and then they'd come sit in front of the computer 10-15 minutes at a time and review what they've learned and practice speaking about what they've learned with the Vietnamese teacher. Then the whole process was called active learning. They then go back to the Vietnamese teacher again, and then later on they come back to the computer 5, 10, 15 minutes with a native speaker and so on, and keep rotating like that. And it worked pretty well. It did that for about 3 months, and then money, contracts, blah, 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 it fell through. Another thing, I started with another school in that area, kind of my own freelancing thing, was teaching, teaching a whole class online, which is something that's becoming more popular in China now. Big projector or big TV at the front of the class, very good sound system, microphone that can pass around sometimes, and you can actually teach entire classes online remotely. And that's something, I set that up in Vietnam, and again we did that for about 3 months, and again it fell through due to money, contracts, blah blah blah. But it's a real great way to teach online. A lot of the new companies are new-ish. There's Shuban Online. I can't pronounce the other one. YJOE. Again, I'll post them below, and check out my website. Micro Language. They're all the big Chinese schools that teach kind of big groups and whole classes online. So after Cambly, I found another application. The next application I found was PALFISH. PALFISH was similar to NICETALK, but it took it to the next level, and it's kind of social media for online teaching. When I started with PALFISH, the pay was good, and it's the same story with every company. Get in early, the pay is good, the booking rate is good, then they all make the mistake. They all overhire or get greedy or try and cut pay in certain ways. Like it's always the same story. But yeah, PALFISH was good to start with. Now it doesn't matter how many slots I open on the phone. I was trying to show you my phone then, but I've just realized that I'm talking to my phone. Anyway, it didn't matter how many slots I opened, I'd rarely get bookings, and then I forgot about it, and then I started getting a couple bookings, and then they were fining me for missed bookings that the app was not notifying me for. So that kind of went bad. But if you can get into PALFISH and you can kind of promote yourself, you have a timeline, so you have to promote yourself to students, and they choose you. So you've got to put out video content, put out photos, put out little quizzes, questions, do live videos on the app as well, and try and really work hard to get teachers that way. Okay, Anna asked, which companies hire non-natives? TOPICA Native does, 51Talk does, let me just have a look. I actually made a list of all the companies that hire non-natives. Let me bring it up now, and I will tell you. Okay, Skyeng does, which is a Russian company. iTutor Group hires some non-native Filipinos too. Yeah, so there's a few that do hire non-natives. Cambly will hire near natives, if that makes sense. I've known some natives that get into Cambly and some that don't, so you can try your luck with Cambly as well. Yeah, I do still work for SAYABC, and I'm about to get onto that. So let's go back through my list. I started working for a TOPICA Native. I then worked for DADA, which I still work for now. It's the one that I've been with the longest. Later, I started working for NICETALK, then 51Talk, then Cambly, then PALFISH, and then more recently, I started working for SAYABC. SAYABC has one of the coolest kind of... okay, Jacob says, iTutor does hire non-natives, but they offer you a terrible rate. That sucks. I've also heard iTutor gives people a rate based on location and not qualifications and ability and native speaker status as well, which is a little strange. But I do know some people who have worked for years for iTutor and absolutely love it. So yeah, but if they're offering you a too low a rate, that's a shame. I tried Cambly. I know that they've taken on some non-natives, and Skyeng as well, which is in Russia, and you'll be teaching Russian students. They definitely take non-natives. Okay, so yeah, SAYABC has one of the coolest platforms I've seen. It's much better than DADA. It's much better than 51Talk. It's even kind of better than PALFISH. PALFISH has a cool interactive platform as well. But SAYABC's platform is one of the best. It's also group classes online, but small groups. 4 students to 1 teacher, 2, 3, 4 students to 1 teacher. And the good thing about it is it's just a really crisp bit of software. Your payments updated pretty much continuously. You can follow how much you're getting paid. That's another thing with online schools. You've got to sometimes keep track of how much you're working to make sure you get paid right, because their own tracking systems are sometimes a little weird. and are not up to date, or they only tell you at the end of the month. SAYABC is great, and same with 51Talk does the same. They constantly update how much you're getting paid, how many hours you've taught. The bad thing, SAYABC, is booking rate. It varies massively between teachers, and I don't know how their algorithm works, but some teachers starting and they start right away and they've got like 10, 20 students already. And once you get a student with SAYABC, generally they book them for quite a long time, like 12 weeks and more. So it can be good. They pay on time. I still work for them. I do 4 hours a week, that's it. Because I've opened slots and they're just not giving me anything. So I'm kind of happy with those 4 hours I've got a week. I've got a really cool group of students, a little bit older. I've got like 11, 12 and 13-year-olds, a big group, and we have a great laugh every week, having a group class together. The kids love speaking to each other in English, and yeah, it's just a cool platform to teach for. So I do recommend SAYABC as well. Let's have a look. Jacob says, I know teachers who have a master's in TESOL who were rejected for not having a 120-hour TEFL. Yeah, some of these schools have weird requirements that make no sense. Yeah, I think the reason for the TEFL now is a lot of the schools in China now, the government's putting pressure on them to make sure all teachers have a minimum of a bachelor's degree and a TEFL. Although there are still companies that will hire you without one or even both of those. But the government is putting on more and more pressure. They're trying to bring in teachers to China as well. A company, Shubang Online, they recently cut a lot of their teachers based in Thailand and all over the place. And they're really offering incentives for you to move and live in like an apartment block owned by them in China and work for them in China, so that your money's going back into the Chinese economy. I think it's starting to get so big, they're starting to realize how much money's flowing out of China now, and they're definitely putting pressure on the companies to, one, get the teachers, make sure they're fully qualified now, and two, if possible, try and keep as many of them as possible in China. Yeah, so that's pretty much my story. I've gone through all the companies I've worked for: TOPICA Native, DADA, NICETALK, 51Talk, Cambly, PALFISH, SAYABC, American Academy and my freelancing stuff, Class Talk, Shubang Online, YJOE, which I haven't worked for, but I started the application process, and then I kind of, it was really long and I got bored, and then I was offered some offline work, corporate work offline in the local city where I live, so I decided not to bother. But both micro language and YJOE online, and not paying their teachers. I think you're talking about Shubang Online. Recently I've heard Shubang Online did not pay their teachers for the last couple months. Also LikeShu, another company that teaches groups and full classes online. Recently I've had people sending me messages saying they've not been paid for months. I'm not going to name any names because these people are still trying to get paid, and if the company sees that, they may decide to just not pay them out of spite. But yeah, I think a lot of stories are going to come out soon for those two companies once teachers get paid, or if they just get fed up of waiting and not getting paid. So especially, I've heard they're making them continue working as well. Some of them have worked 2 months in advance. So I would avoid Shubang Online and LikeShu until those issues have been resolved. Yeah, so I guess I'll talk about what I'm doing now. Now I'm focusing more and more on recruiting my own business, Online Teachers Club, and helping teachers move online. But I still teach online. I work for DADA and I work for SAYABC, and I'm pretty happy with how both of those schools have treated me over the last, well, SAYABC about 6 months. DADA for 3.5–4 years, so I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, so that was a quick video today. I think I may do this video again in a more compact form and link it with videos and pictures of all the different schools, put all the links in the description, and put it on my YouTube channel later on when I get time. But I just kind of wanted to get all this stuff off my chest, speak honestly about all the schools and my personal experience teaching English online. Hope this video was helpful, and if you've got any questions, feel free to PM Online Teachers Club, the page, or me myself, or comment on this video later, and I'll come back to the comments later. Alright guys, have a good night. It's 9 PM for me in Thailand now. I'm going to grab a drink and then have an early night, so catch you guys later.